So as far as what's being done, positive examples, this may be a little biased to what I've had experience with, but the best one I've had is with the Anti-Defamation League World of Difference Institute. I was part of that since 6th grade, and that really was what turned me around when I was being bullied and when I was depressed and suicidal. If not for the World of Difference Institute, I might not be here. Certainly I wouldn't be in the position that I am today. And what they do with that program is they train student leaders all over the country to further go out and train their fellow students. So I know when I was part of this program, we would get trained by somebody from the Anti-Defamation League, which is the role that I now serve. And then we would take that knowledge and go into freshman classrooms and teach them about what we heard and how to respect their students and how to create a safer school environment. GLSEN student leadership is also a positive example, and what's great about this is that they have national and local teams. So for GLSEN Northern Virginia, we have a team that this year will be of about 20 students that go around and make sure that schools are safer for LGBT students, because as we saw earlier, there's a higher risk for LGBT students. And there's also a national team, and what that does is it creates a support network for students and lets them know that they have a place to go to if they do need support. Also, the Trevor Project, which provides a variety of resources for students and adults alike, and provides a suicide hotline also for immediate help if a student needs it. And what's really important about the Trevor Project is that they have student employees and interns. So this is going back to earlier, where you see students in leadership positions, and it's a conversation amongst peers instead of having to talk to adults, which leads to better conversation. Next slide. So also, on a federal level, I had the wonderful opportunity, and some students that are part of my GLSEN chapter also had the opportunity to go to some White House conferences as well as a couple of Department of Education conferences focusing on bullying. And what was really great to see at this event were the student role models that were there. I know myself, I'm a college student, but I learned a lot from the high school students, and actually we had middle school students there as well, and I learned a lot from them, and it was amazing as always to see students as the leaders there. Also, Days of Action, I mentioned the Day of Silence earlier, which is usually held in April by GLSEN and is widely participated in, and it is a day to build awareness among students for LGBT issues, and it's something that mostly students organize. Suicide Prevention Day, which was just started actually a few weeks ago, is a completely student-run event where students wear a certain color. I believe this year it was purple. And it's a simple way that students can organize to build awareness around the issue of suicide. And what this does is it really puts students at the forefront and shows their peers that they can organize as well. And also student organizations, so gay straight alliances or student-run clubs that are forums for other students and act as, again, support networks for their students to join. Next slide, please. So personal takeaways. Definitely, these are some things that I saw as very important, that whenever you have a bullying program or whenever you have an issue of bullying, these are some things that, in my opinion, must be done and are certainly encouraged to do when dealing with an issue of bullying. So firstly, student opinion, bringing students to the table whenever possible, making sure that their voice is not left out. If you're going to talk about youth and talk about bullying amongst adolescents, then adolescents need to be a part of that discussion. And then leadership opportunities, letting students take ownership of the problem. So if you sit down with a good team of students and let them know, hey, bullying is a problem at our school, what can you guys do about it as students? Putting them in that leadership position and giving them some of the part of the task. Also resources, making sure that students have the right tools to lead. So if they need basic materials or if they need contacts or a method to contact other people about the issue, and giving them those tools. Also encouragement, so taking a step back, whatever the situation is, reassuring the student that they're doing a good job. As long as they are doing a good job, of course, you don't want to tell them something that's false. And then supporting them in whatever it is that they're trying to do and making sure that they're successful. Next slide. Also, attending events. I know within Northern Virginia, we're happy to have several student-run events throughout the year, and it's always great to see adult presence at those events, that they're learning and making themselves more aware of what's going on within the school community and within the student community, and it's a great way to gain knowledge about that. Talking to the Anti-Defamation League, again, a little bit of bias here, but I have seen several situations where the Anti-Defamation League has turned a school around as far as bullying goes. And if it's an immediate problem, the Anti-Defamation League is certainly a huge organization, and they can respond very quickly to whatever that need is. Also, taking individual experience seriously, acknowledging each experience and what it brings. So not just thinking that one student's bullying experience is like everybody else's. When that student comes into your office or wherever it may be, take it seriously and acknowledge that it's their experience and what you can do about that experience, not necessarily everybody else. And prioritizing, so recognizing when, as an adult or supporter, to step up and take the leadership role within an event or within an organization, and then step back as well and letting students take the lead. That's fun. So understanding the role. This is just a little bit more basic of the last one, but just understanding whether a student or adult should be involved. In some cases, if the students are having a good discussion about issues that they may think are sensitive, then maybe an adult shouldn't be in the room at all, and maybe the students should just be able to talk it out, understanding when your role is appropriate. And then building a student task force. This goes back to earlier, also letting students make the decision, putting them in a leadership position, and developing a strong team of students to help out the entire school community, but make them also aware that they need to build on the experiences of their fellow peers. Remaining aware, keeping the relationship well-maintained and up-to-date. So I know for me, again, I'm 20, I'm in college, but my experiences in high school are very different than the experiences of students who are currently in high school. Things change very rapidly, especially with the technology world. So making sure that you keep that relationship well-maintained and up-to-date and constantly asking the students questions. What's going on in school? Tell me what's going on. I know I've learned a lot from hearing current high school students speak. Also, spreading the wealth, recognizing unique abilities and using them. So making sure that everyone is involved in some way. If somebody's not the best public speaker in the world, that doesn't mean that they can't be involved. You can put them in a creative role where they're designing flyers or some sort of poster, something like that. But recognizing that everybody has different abilities and using them to the advantage of whatever you're trying to do. Next slide. Also, the innovative approach. We've mentioned several times about bullying on the internet being a problem. If you're going to tackle an issue, you have to get to where the students are, which nowadays is online mostly. When they go home, they go online. And unfortunately, it's not enough to just do something in school anymore. For those who are using Facebook, if you put something out on Facebook, or if you follow the lead of Facebook and some other technology companies that have built ways to report bullying, that certainly helps. And getting on Twitter and other venues that students use to talk to each other is definitely helpful in a bullying prevention program. Also, remembering that this is prevention, not intervention. Obviously, we need to intervene whenever bullying happens, but our ultimate goal is to prevent and stop bullying altogether, so we no longer have to intervene when it happens, because it doesn't happen. We're trying to make sure that it completely stops. Constant evolution, making sure that you have fresh ideas in people, always going through and making sure that you're coming up with ideas that are good for students and that are current and that are not tired ideas that the students are no longer getting something from. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, is listening. And this is the most important thing, is genuine listening to students and all leaders. In order for a community program to work, in order for everybody to have positive experiences, everyone has to feel like they're listened to. And genuine listening, where you count everybody's opinion, treat them all as individuals, is going to be what's best. Instead of just listening to some, listen to everybody. I know it may sound long, but it's a lot easier. And making sure that those people who see themselves as leaders within the community are listened to as well.